create a simple HTML form. Okay, so the call is being recorded now for those of you asking. So we're going to create a very simple HTML form in this class. So this form is going to take the contact information of each person, your email, your name, your password. We'll try to style it and make it beautiful using different CSS properties. And then when you go home, you can be able to try more yourself or with the assignment be given to you. So, and then we'll also use the different selectors to see how we can be able to achieve this, right? All right, so let's head over. Now, what's going to happen is that oh wow, I want to override this ugly one that I created. So I don't like the styling I did here. I want to make it better, but I still want to maintain the HTML document. So what will happen is now I'm going to change this. So let's take out the whole inline styling, the external styling. So it's already linked. And then I'll take out this inline styling with the background color. Awesome. So let's start from this, right? Let's start from this. So what we want to style is this form. So can you see how ugly it looks? So let's try to make the styling look a little bit better, starting from the H1. Let's try to make this, let's say 30px or 40. And then let's change the color because I don't like this to green. Not just green, let's pick. So you can hover over this and then select a particular shade of green that you want. So I'll just go with anyone. So, and then the form. So this is the form I want to style now. So I'll take out the styling in the form completely. And then, so let's have a look. Okay, this is what I have currently. So next, after this Fitech community, next I want to style this image. So we can make this image look smaller. So all I just have to do is come back here, and then this is the image, right? So I will give this image an ID. So let's call this image logo. So how do I do this here in the styles? So I'll just come here, and then since I'm using an ID, I'm going to signify ID, which is starting with an hashtag, so that CSS we know that this is an ID. And then I make this logo, and then I'm telling CSS I want to style the logo. So now I want to change the width and the height. So there are different properties we can check out. So let's just read out this property so that it's not going to sound familiar to anybody. Then we'll do this styling based on the properties that we've tried out, right? Awesome. So comments. Yeah, we'll come back to comments, right? So colors. Good. So colors are specified using predefined names. So there are names already given to colors. That's why you see I can use tomato, I can use orange, I can use dodger blue, violet, light gray. And then lastly, you can also use RGB, right? To signify colors. You can use hex, HSL, RGBA, SL, any of them that you specify, all is going to give you a color in CSS, right? So these are the different colors, background color. If you want to change the background color, you use this property, background color, and then signify the type of color you want. If you want to change the color of the text, you use color, and then signify the color that you want, right? So I hope that's clear. So these are RGBs. So let's see what RGBs look like. So this RGB, if you see a color that looks like this, is RGB, like this. RGB stands for red, green, and blue, which are like the primary colors that make up other colors, right? So hex. So if you see a color that looks like this, so many of you must have come across this. This is what a hex look like. And then HSL. So if you see a color that looks like this, this is HSL color, right? So I hope that is all gotten correctly. So backgrounds. So CSS background properties are used to add background effects for elements. So you can add a lot of effects to the background element, not just the color. Like you notice, we'll be using background color since. So there's background color, there's background image, where if you go to some website, they don't use a color on their background, they use an image. And then background repeats. This is if you want the image to repeat. The attachment, what are you attaching? The position, and then this background for shorthand, which can signify all other things that you want to add up, right? So this is a quick example of using the background color. And then we have used this before, so this is nothing new to you. And then the opacity. So we can choose to add an opacity to the background color. So let's start from this. So let's start from background color in our styling, not logo. So background color, this time around, what is going to happen is that I want to highlight the whole body. I'm telling you the body should look like this, right? So all I'm just going to do now, I'm going to use this selector that I explained, which is the asterisk, to highlight like the whole body, right? So let's give it a background color of, which color do we pick? So someone should give us a color because I'm not good with colors, right? So someone should give us a color. Anyone, just drop it in the chat. Hello, are we together? All right, light blue. So let's try. Fatima came first, so let's use Fatima's light blue, and then we'll use David's cyan blue later. So I can see guys that know colors here, right? I don't even know what's cyan blue, but I know it exists. So let's start from here, and then let's say the background color is light. Is there anything like light blue? Okay, yeah, there is. So we chose light blue, right? All right, so let's have a look. Nice. So everything now is light blue. So we can also choose the opacity. Maybe we want to make this light blue. It shouldn't be so hard. So we can choose the opacity. Let me try this. I think opacity ranges from, okay, so opacity is just to make the page opaque or to reduce how it looks like, right? So if you want full opacity, if I make it 0, let's see. So 0 is not going to show us anything on the page. So it ranges from 0 to 1. So if let's say 0.9 and see. Good. Can you see? It's visible. Let's say 0.2. Can you see how it looks like? Let's say 0. Or let's say 1. So that means it's just like putting nothing there. Just like saying no opacity. So that's how opacity works, right? So this time around, since we are using a lighter color, we're not going to make use of it. So I think there's background opacity too. Let's see. So background opacity. Oh, okay. It doesn't exist. I've been working with frameworks most of the time, so I can't seem to remember like most of the styling here. But we'll head over and see how we are going to make this look beautiful. So next, let's go to the logo. So we've worked on image and we work on background and we'll see how opacity looks like, right? So let's go back to W3 schools. Okay. So we'll learn how to insert background images or use images as a background instead. So that's what we'll do next. And then let's check out the rest. So next, let's check out width and height, which is what we are going to use to style the logo. So CSS height, width, and max width. So CSS height and width properties are used to set the height and width of an element. So you can specify the height and width of a particular element, right? So CSS mark width property is used to set the maximum width of the element. The element has a height of 50 pixels and the width of 100%. So setting CSS setting height and width. So the height and the width property are used to set the height and the width of an element. The height and width properties do not include padding, borders, or margins. It sets the height and width of the area inside the padding, border, and the margin of the element. So CSS height and width values. So the height and width values may have the following values, right? So auto. So the height or the width can be auto. So auto is default. That is, if you put the image, whatsoever height it has, it's on auto. So if we go back here, let's go to our web page. So this image, this Fitech community, the logo is on auto because I just put this image and the height that it has and the width is the same thing that is taken on the web page. So currently it's on auto and auto is default. So let's read more and see how we can edit this. So length. So defines the height and width in px, cm, etc. So you can choose length. You can use maybe px to signify how you want the length to look like or how you want the height to look like, or you can use cm, which is centimeters, right, to signify how they look like. So let's try out with the width and see here. So I can just go back to my code and I say this logo should have a width of 50 px. So let's see what good. So do you see what 50 px look like on our logo? Can I see how our logo looks smaller? Are we together? So we don't want it to be small, so let's make it 100 px. You see how it's bigger, right? I can also change it to cm. It doesn't necessarily have to be px, cm. So let's see how cm looks like. Good. Can you see how big cm is or more? So cm is so big. So bulk of the time I make use of px. So let me just use px here. Nice. So we have this logo and this logo looks small and okay, just how we want it. And then we can also choose to set the height. So we can set the height and let's make the height 100 px also. So it's exactly 100 px. Now, if I make the height 50 px, let's see what it looks like. Can you see? So I'll just leave it with 100 because 100 is okay. Nice. So the next part is percentage. So you can choose a certain percent to determine how it's going to look like. And then the percentage works based on the whole block. So it's just like saying in this space where I'm building this whole page is 100%. And then the percentage I give this image will determine the size that is going to take in this whole page. So if I give it 50%, it's going to take like 50% of the page. So let's try. So let's say width 50%. And then let's try to comment out height. So can you see? 50% took like 50% of like the whole page, right? But we don't want to work with percentage in this space. So I still stick to 100 px. Px is far much better for me to control. All right. So not just to elements, you can set width and height to like different stuffs, not just the elements, right? I can set width, not just images. I can set the width and height to maybe a particular div or to a form. But when we are working with a form, we are going to see how that's going to work, right? So, but first and foremost, I think we should style that for this form. Then we'll move over to styling the form. So let's style the form this time around. So to style the form, I just head over here to index. So should I give this an ID? So let me give you an ID and say contact form, right? Then we work with this ID to style it in the CSS so that when we create a new form, it's going to have its own specific style. So what will happen here, I just say contact form and then I open this up. Nice. So straight to the point, I can now style this form now. This form that is looking ugly, that has all this information. I can style it now to make it look maybe much more better how I want it to be. So I can maybe give it a width of, let's say, I want this form to take like half of the width of the page. So can you see the form has reduced to like half? So this is the half of the page, this is the remaining half. And then I can also change the height. And then I can tell this form to take a height of maybe, let's say 50% too. Now this is not going to show because of these elements are not styled properly. So I can just make this, but if I want you to know that the height has taken 50%, I can just change the background color. And then maybe let's make it white. Okay, what's happening? So let me change the whole style, and then let's give you a height. Let's give the whole page a height of 100 view height. So that's what we call view height also. Okay. Now that's chaos. So let's not work with this. Awesome. So we'll get back to fixing this properly, but I can set the height. No, let's make the height, let's say 200 px. Awesome. So can you see how it looks like now? Or we can just make this 400 px so that it takes a lot of space, and then we style this properly. So this is how it works. I can just pick height for this, blah, 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 and then we are good to go, right? So let's continue styling this form to make it look better. So we have seen how width and height works, right? And then without any wasting of time, we just move over to paddings and margins. So now, padding is used to create a space around an element's content inside of a defined border, right? So padding properties are used to generate space, and then with CSS, you have full control over the padding. You can pad either the top, the right, the bottom, and the left. So if you want to pad the individual sides, you use the padding top, you use the padding right, or the padding bottom, or padding left. But if you want to pad like the whole thing, you just use the padding. And then the padding will do like the whole thing for you, signifying all the different sides from top, right, bottom, left, right? So now let's try to pad this form and see how this form looks like. So in the first space, can you see this form doesn't have any space around this white container? Doesn't have any single space, but we can use padding to provide a space for this form. So let's go back now in the contact form, and then let's give it a padding. So let's give it a padding. Let's start with padding top. So let's give it padding top, and then let's say 20 px. So can you see it gave us space in between the top and where these are starting from, but only on the top. So how about let's do this on the left and the right? So we can say padding left, and then let's give it 50 px, so it should be more bigger. Good. Can you notice we have space now on the left? So if I want to change this now, I can also say padding right. Let's give padding right 100 px, so it just looks obvious. Good. Can you see this one takes 100 space to start from here, and then this one takes 50. This one takes 20. So padding bottom, let's say 200 px. Likewise, this one went more down to make it give you a proper padding, right? But if I don't want to do this individually, I want to achieve this with only one, I can take all this out and then I say padding. Now I start from top. So how many do I want to give the top? I want to give it 50 px. How many do I want to give the right? I want to, or left, 50 px, right, 50 px. I want to give all of them 50 px. So they be in the same, they have the same styling. Good. So can you see the space between here to here is the same. Here to here is the same. But it doesn't seem to show here simply because these contents haven't exceeded like the whole height that we gave this content. But if I want this to be visible, I can just take out the height here in the contact form. And then you see how this works perfectly. Good. Can you see all of them take a perfect size? Here to here are all on the same color, the same size. So I'll just take out the height because we don't need it any longer. So Next up, let's try to arrange these elements properly so that they can look properly arranged. So based on the HTML, it determines how this is going to look like. All right, so these aren't grouped properly. And then I want to group all of this so that we can use the other types of selectors to see how they work. So to group this, I'm going to make use of a div. So div just stands for a division of an HTML element. I explained this the last time. And then I'll put each name and input in the same place, right? So I'll call another div. If you don't understand what I'm doing in any way, do well to call my attention so that I don't go far. And then we are all together, right? And then let's do the last div and then try to style each of these independently and see how it's going to look like. Good. And then this last div. So this time around, we'll use a class to style the divs. Okay, and then okay, I'll take this out. I don't need how happy are you. I don't care whether you're happy or not. Right? Okay. So at least we are getting some proper arrangements. Nice. So let's start styling these divs individually, right? And let's see how it's going to look like. So let's check other properties. Let's check the properties that will help us style this div. Is there anyone with a question for me? Yeah, shoot, Jethro.
So before you forge ahead, please, I have a question. You made mention of the width and max width. You gave us example of how we can use the width and height, but how can we, what is max width and max height, and how is it applicable in a web page? Thank you, sir.
Okay, so max width and max height is just to give an element the maximum width and the maximum height it can take. Like when it gets to this, it shouldn't expand more than this, right? So I will advise you use this yourself. Go and use max width, use max height yourself and see how it works, right? So like I said initially, only 20% can be given out. 80% depends on your own workings to see what you have been doing, right? So, good. Okay, so we've talked height, margins. So, let's talk about margins now. Nice. So margins are used to create space around elements outside of any defined border. So padding is to give space inside. Margin is to give space outside. So I gave this a padding. And then if I want to give it a margin outside, maybe I want to separate this Fitech to the logo here to this place. I can change this using the margin. Maybe I want to give a space between this and this. All I just have to do is head over to the style and then go to my form, and then I will give you a margin. So margin 2 is the same thing with margin top, margin right, blah, blah, blah. But if you want to do with only margin, you signify just like how I did the padding. So I can say margin top 100 px, right? And then watch out now. So can you see? It gave a space of 100 between here and here, right? That's how both of them work. So I don't really think we need margin now based on what we are building. So let's check. All right, sorry guys. All right, so let's proceed. Hello, can you signify with emojis so I know we are together? Then I'll proceed. Nice, nice. So after this class, I'm expecting to see beautiful web pages, right? It's only the first class that you're allowed to build an ugly web page. But from henceforth, all pages are should be beautiful, right? Okay. So David is laughing at me because he knows that what I'm styling is not even beautiful. And I'm asking you guys to build beautiful pages. So you see how the margin works, right? You can signify either the top, right, bottom, or left, depending on which of the margins you want to work with. Now, what's this? Margin collapse. Okay. So I think you tried this out yourself. So, what is the best? All right, so let's use margin to separate all of these CSS, these ones. Can you see? They are all attached together. So I want to use margin to separate them. So this time around, let me take out the margin because I don't need it. And then to do this, I go back to my HTML. And remember, all of these divs, I want to give them the same class so that all of them are going to have the same type of style. I don't want to stress myself and style them individually, right? So how do I do this? I declare class, and then I call it maybe form box. So it's a box in the form, and then class form box. So I'll give all of these div the same class so that they take the same styling, right? Okay. Form box. Awesome. Awesome. So let's go back here and then try to style the class. So if I want to style the class, remember it starts with a full stop and then I signify the name. Then I press enter, right? So what do I want to do now? I want to give them a margin. So I will say margin top. So each of them should have a margin top of, let's say, 20 px. So let's see what happens. Nice. Can you see? So each of these now have a space around it. This name, because it's in a different div, can you see here? We have a name, which is the label, and an input box, right? Label, input box. So if you come here, this is the label, this is the input box, this is the label, this is the input box. And all of them are taking this size, right? So what if I want the name to be at the top and I want this to be down? How do I achieve that? So we'll check that subsequently. But for now, let's just try to fix this properly. And then let's also go back to styling the form box. And let's give it a width of okay, so that lies on the input box. So what do we do now? So let me change the background color of this to white because I don't like that blue in there. Yeah, nice. But the problem is coming from here because I'm highlighting all the elements to take up that color. So that's a problem. So instead, what I'll just do is I'll use body instead of highlighting everything. Makes sense. I like this one more. Right? All right. So what if you get what I did? That selector I told you is a general selector that is going to highlight the whole thing. But this time around, I just want to style the whole body. And then this is the body. Now, have we talked about parent and child relationship? So, like I spent the last time, there are parents and there are child elements, right? So simple explanation, this body is like a parent element. And then every other thing inside of this body is a child. So this header is a child. This form is a child. And then this form is also a parent to div. div is a child, this div is a child. So anything that happens to the parent affects the child. But anything that happens to the child doesn't affect the parent. Right? So simple example. If your daddy or your mama or your guardian, who is your parent, happens to, maybe they're the one who are feeding you and you're still staying at home, and then now they happen to lose their job, and God forbid, but then now they don't have money to buy food for themselves. So automatically what it means is that if your father doesn't have money to buy food for himself, automatically he doesn't have money to buy food for you, right? But if you don't have money to buy food for yourself, doesn't mean that your father is not going to be able to have money to buy food for himself. What's the best way to explain this? This is just a small thing that came into my mind, right? But there should be a better explanation. Whatsoever affects the parent affects the child. But what affects the child doesn't necessarily affect the parent, because it is your parents that are going to pass on maybe the inheritance over to you. So you're inheriting from your parents. Your parents are not inheriting from you. Yeah, that's just like the best concept. So everything your father has, good, I've gotten the concept now. Everything your father has, he builds a house, he has a car. At the end of the day, all those things is going to be transferred down to you. But it's not you building your house or having your car and then transferring it back to your parents. No. Your stuff, you are transferring it down to your children. So that's how it is. It's like an inheritance stuff. So whatever happens to the parent affects the child. So in this space, we use body, and then we tell the body to have a color of light blue. And that is why the whole of this page took up light blue. Are we together? Nice. So let me also try to change the color of Fitech, which is our logo, or this. So I don't want this H1 to be green again. I want this H1 to be gray. So I love gray color a lot. So let's make it gray. So nice. At least this looks better. Not so much better, right? But better. Good. So let's proceed now. So what's next? Let's style this form to look better, right? So let's add up something here. Maybe let's say inside the form, let's have an H4 that says contact form. Good. So it's here, contact form. And then I don't like the fact that we have 100%, 50% padding everywhere. I just want to make this padding 20%. So everything should be 20 px, sorry. Good. Looks much more better. And then let's try to style this one so that it has a color. So let's give it an ID of subtitle or form subtitle. So you have to know how to, or let's give it form title. So how you name your elements determines how we are going to style them, right? But I'm also going to show you another different way of selecting your elements. So that would be much more better for us. So let's say this is an ID of form. So form title. And then I want to give it a background color. No, I want to give it a color of what's that other blue? Light blue. So I want to give it a color of light blue. And then I want to give it a text size of font size. So there are a lot of elements, right? And you don't necessarily have to cram this in your head at all. You don't have to. So let's give a font size of, let's say, 25 px. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, this looks better. And then I want to make this color a little bit darker. Yep, yep, better. So let's try to align the text and see if good. So let's use text align, though we haven't read it, but you see what text align does, right? Takes it from here and bring it to the center. So let's see how that works. And then, okay. So we've checked about margins, and then let's check text since we are working with text currently. Or let's work with, yeah, let's check out text. So CSS has a lot of properties for formatting text. Plenty for formatting the text, right? So text color, the one we have been using. So the properties used to set the color of the text. We've been using this over and over again. So this is the text alignment. So how to align text. So there are different ways you might want to align your text. Just like when you are typing in a Word document, you might want your text to start from the left, or you might want it to start from the right, or want it to start from maybe the middle, or maybe you want it to go to the bottom, etc. So these are different ways. So currently, the text align property is used to set the horizontal alignment of a text. A text can be left or right aligned, centered, or justified. The following example shows aligned blah, 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 blah. So we can see how we can align text. So I aligned it center here. I can choose to make it left. So I think default is left, right? So let's try to make this left. So I change this from center and I say left. So default should be left. Yep. Good. Can you see it's back to left, right? I can change this text and say, okay, start from the right. Maybe I'm Arabic. I want to live in Dubai, or I'm living in United Emirates. I'm writing from the left. I'm writing from the right down to the left. So I can do it this way, right? So I'm just saying this just maybe in case a Dubai client calls you to create a website for him. So you know how to align your stuff, right? All right, but I choose to go with the center. I love my text in the center. All right, so what next? So let's check out more properties. So you can also justify your text, align it, align last, then text direction. I choose maybe the direction your text is going. So I want you to try this out yourself. I won't do all of this. You should just go open your JavaScript, open your HTML, your CSS, link one file together, and then keep on changing the style. Use all the different ones and see how they work. That's the best way to learn CSS, to be honest with you. Just be trying the different properties. CSS is simple, but it's hard. I have to be sincere with you, right? So you can also choose to maybe decorate a text, text decoration. So in this chapter, we'll learn text decoration. So you can decorate it, the color. So the text decoration line is used to add a decoration line to the text. So let's say we have a to do, and then we want to cross over the last text or want to underline it. So there are different ways. So I can just go back here and then I say, so text decoration line. So I can just say underline. Now watch out. Look, you just underline this. I can say line through. Look, you just cross this over. Maybe you might have maybe been browsing or you are trying to shop on Jumia, and then Jumia, they have maybe the price tag is like for a particular drink. Let's say this drink, Predator, is 5K, but it's not 5K. So let's say this week is 5K, and then Jumia are doing Black Friday, and then they say this is no longer 5K, this is 3K. So what they will do is that to let you know that this is Black Friday, they will use line through to cross the former price. And then they use the normal line to show you the new price, right? So that's how line through works. So we don't need this. Let me just choose to underline it. Let me underline it, right? Makes sense. So I'll just leave it underlined. Nice. So what next? You can choose overline or underline, or you can join the two together. So just make sure you read this, right? Try it out. They are not much. And then, okay, so text transform, awesome. So we can choose to transform a text to maybe make it uppercase, lowercase, capitalize it, etc. It depends, because a user can maybe provide you an input of small letters and you want to make those letters all capital letters. How do we do that, right? So let's try this out. Maybe let's work with this contact form. So they say the property is text transform. So let's use text transform and then let's make it all uppercase here. So text transform and then let's make it uppercase. Now watch out. I wrote this in small letters, but can you see contact form is now in capital letters? I can choose to make this lowercase. Right? This is back to his lowercase form, right? I can choose to capitalize. So let's see. So capitalize will make each of the first letters capital. Can you see how it works? So I'll leave this. I want to work with this one. So what's the last thing? What's the next thing now? Let's continue styling our form to make it look much more beautiful. So I won't stress styling these ones. I will just head over to styling this button. So let's look for the right styles that we need in styling the button. Oh, we already have a style. We already have done all the styles needed to style this button. So what do we have to do now? So I go to this input. This is where the button lives. So I can just say I give it an ID of submit or form button. So notice how I'm naming my variables, right? I'm naming my items. I'm naming them so that I can remember. If I see form box, I know that this box exists inside of the form. If I see button, form button, I know that this button exists inside of the form, right? Because I can have plenty buttons, I can have different forms, etc. So I can just go back here and then I say hashtag form button. Good. So the first thing, this form, it looks as ugly as it can look. It's just on its default state. So let's make it look better. So first and foremost, I want to add the padding. So I want to give it a padding of 10px. So can you see? My form just got bigger. But I want to give it 10px on all angles. So I can just say 10px, 10px. So it takes 10px on all sides. If this 10 is not enough, we'll make it bigger, right? Let's try 20. Okay. Okay, so what will just happen is let's work with the width. So let's make the width, let's say, so this whole total page, we want this login button to be like 30%. So you should take 30% of that page. So can you see? My button is taking 30%. And then I want to give it a margin top so that it has a margin between this. As you can see, this one is attached to this, but I don't want that. So I want to give it a margin top. So I can just give it a margin top of like 10px. Good. Can you see my button is separated to this? So let's make this 20px. It's not properly separated how I want it. Good. And then I want this button to the text. The login looks small. So I want to increase the text. So I can just say text size. Text size of, let's say 15px. Hello, is everyone speaking? Okay, font size. Oh my God, I always forget this. So can you see the button got bigger? I can also say font width. So font width will determine how I want the font to look. So I want to make it bold. So let's say bold. So can you see this button now is bold, right? And then I want to change the color of this button. And then I want the background color of this button to be green. Not just any green, to be green, yellow. Or shall I still maintain the blue? Yeah, let's still maintain the same blue as this title. So I just copy this and then I come here and paste it. So there's a way you can declare your styles, your colors globally, so that you don't have to be copying and pasting. You can just define all the styles you want to use, and then you just use the variables to define all those styles. So as you can see how my button looks like. This is the color of my button. And then I can just say, now notice something. When I come here, if you go to normal buttons in apps, you notice that when you hover it, it takes you probably, it shows you like this cursor is going to change maybe to like a finger. Like what can signify that now? Oh, okay. So now to do that, we change the pointer. So there's what is called cursor. So we want to change the cursor now to a pointer. So now watch what happens. If I come here now, watch, it changes to be a pointer to signify to the user that, hey, you can click on this button and you can do whatsoever you want it to do, right? So this is just what it signifies. And then we can also bring more things here and say maybe when we come here, for the user to know that this button is clickable, you should change the color, you should hover, blah, 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 blah. Plenty things that we can do, right? But we'll all come back to all those styles at the end of the day. So next up, we have started this button, we have done all of this. What next? So let's make this contact form much more better now. So let's look at the styles that can make it better. So you don't necessarily need to have all these styles in your head, right? You just need to know the right style to use at the right time. You know the right style to use at the right time, right? So what do we work? I think let's work with floats. Nice. I like this. I like this. So floats. So CSS float properties specify how an element should float. So the CSS clear property specifies what element can float beside the cleared element or on which side. So as you can see, all these have property of either float right or float left. So float property. The float property is used for positioning and formatting content, e.g., let an image float left or text in a container. So float property can have one of the following values. Left, the element flows to the left of its container. Right, the element flows to the right of its container. None, the element does not float. Blah, 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 blah. So what's going to happen now is that I want this to float. So Fitech community should be here, and then this logo should show here. So how do we make that work? So let's see CSS and then see how they did it. So they just went to the image and specified the floats, right? And they told it to float right or float left. So let's do that here. So we'll just go to our image, which is here. We saved it as logo, right? If you can remember. And then we tell it float left. So let's see. Okay, so it went down in here. Are you for real? Is the image in the same container as this content form? Okay, so we have to check that. Okay. So let's see. That's actually not where I want it to be. So let's make it right and see. Okay, but this time around is working with this, so it's back on the right. Yeah, does anyone have a question?
I wanted to suggest maybe we could put the logo in a container so that we can actually navigate it.
Oh, okay. So let's try that and see. So you guys are already debugging. So let's try and put logo in a container. Yep, because so I hope this works. Okay. Okay, so it's the same thing. It still stays in the logo, but it's floating to the right. Same with this. So let me try to style this Fitech, which is H1, and then let me tell it to float left and see. So float left, and then the logo should float right. Okay, this is down here. Nope, this is not what I want. Nope, 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 nope. So let's go back to float and understand what it's doing. So let's check out float examples. Okay. Nice, 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 nice. So it's telling us to make like this whole thing a border box. So we haven't really checked out border box too. So before we come back to float, let's check border box. But I actually think we are moving too fast. Do you guys think so too? Yo, shoot. Rufai.
Yeah, as I said, I think you are moving too fast.
We are moving too fast, right? So let's slow down.
I think so, sir.
You think so too, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. So let's slow down. Let's slow down. Let's slow down. Let's slow down. All right. So we have learned like a lot from today's work, right? We have learned plenty stuff, and then I don't want to bug you guys with like a lot of things, but at the end of the day, this is what we have been able to sign to style, which is this. So this is so minimalistic. Just what we did the last time. We're just trying to make it look better, using styles, using all these different ones to make them work. So let's not be in a haste. So I'm going to give room now for your questions. But if you don't ask me questions, it means you understand and I will continue moving fast. But if you ask me questions, it means that we are moving on the same pace and then I have to slow down. But no questions means I continue moving. Questions, I stop. So questions, please. Ask me any question. Don't be scared that someone will laugh at you. Everybody here is learning, right? That's why they are joining the course. And then once upon a time, I was also once like you guys. I had no single idea about this. I didn't know how they work, and someone had to teach me how HTML work, how CSS works, and then at the end of the day, I'm here today, right? So, and I was able to get here because I asked dumb questions, because I asked questions that don't make sense. I ask questions that make sense, right? All together, I just ask questions. That's why I'm here today. So I'm waiting for your questions now. If you don't ask me, I ask. So who's first? So, okay. Anybody raising their hand can proceed. Nobody's talking now. That means you people understand now, and I should proceed.
Yeah.
So, Yusuf, Rufai, let's hear from Yusuf first.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it is not actually a question, but I sort of used while styling the button, the form button. you give padding 20 px, 20 px, 20 px, 20 px. Since we are like calling the padding, can't you just give it padding 20 px and it affects the whole sides, like the four sides?
Nice, Yusuf. Makes sense. So that can also work, right? But this 20 px, 20 px, 20 px, I can choose to maybe change it. Maybe I want this one to be longer. This one should be here, the space here. So I just use that so that a lot of people will understand. But the same way that you explained, it can also be achieved that same way too. So thank you very much for your observation, Yusuf. Nice. So who's next? So if there's anything you still notice about the code that you feel we can do better, you can also let us know. So Rufai, let's hear from you.
Okay, so my question is first, can you please explain what container is? Then the second thing is about this thing. When you're talking about CSS, starting from the beginning, you're talking about this hashtag, dot, and asterisks. Like all those three things. What are they used for? Like, can you please explain again?
Nice. Okay, good question. Okay, so I think your first question was about what?
Container, sir.
Container.
Okay. So container can basically be anything, right? So just like the name implies, container. So I have one container here. Nice. All right. So this is a box, right? And this box is a container and it has stuffs inside of it. So what will happen is let's go back here. Let's go back to the code. So this whole thing, this whole white that you are seeing here, which is the form, can serve as a container, which is holding all of this data inside. So if I open this container, you can see different things inside. Maybe I have some bunch of cards. I have like a newspaper. I have like a key inside of it. I have some of my airboards inside. So each of these different elements can serve as this name, email, date of birth, button, contacts from all in here, right? But why I'm putting them inside a container is so that I can be able to easily move them around. How? If I put all of this in one place, I cover this. This is the container, right? And then I can be able to easily shift this whole element from one place to another. I can shift it left, shift it right, shift it to the middle, top, bottom, etc. Right? That's the work of the container. The work of the container is so that I don't have to style these things one after the other. I can just, any style I give to this container, it can affect what is inside of the container. And that's why when I told this container, or when I told this form box to be, or when I told this contact form to be white color, the whole thing turned white. It didn't separate this, it didn't separate this, it didn't separate this. Until when I went to the button and then I told the button to be blue color before the button changed color to be blue, right? So that's just the use of container, so that you can easily move elements from one place to another and change their styling. All is going to affect the container. Anything you give the container, which is the parent, it affects the child, the children inside of it. So I hope that answers your first question.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So the next question now you asked is about the different simple selectors that we are making use of. And then I told you there are different ways that we can style, right? So to explain this, I think I have to go back here. So I told you there are different ways we can style. As you can see here, if I try this asterisk means style the whole thing. The whole thing should take this color. So asterisk is like selecting the whole elements. Just like the first place where I explained, and I told you, you come and then you tell your painter to paint your house red. And you didn't tell him to paint a particular wall red. You just tell him, paint this house red. And then the painter paints the wall, paints the window, paints the zinc, paints the tiles, etc. That's what this selector is doing. So I can choose to change the background of this selector and then tell it blue. Can you see? The whole thing changed blue. It's not that it's only this, the whole thing that is connected here changes blue. So next is this one, which is this H1 element. So this one, if I specify the particular element in HTML and I style it, it's going to style every element that has this particular style. And that's why I explained here, whereby I use this H1 and then I gave this H1 all the same style, and then all of them took the same styling, right? So let me change this back to green. So all of them took the same styling, right? But I can choose to make it like, I can choose to pick one and then style that particular one. Like take, for example, this first here. That's why I select, this is a H1, this is a H1, right? These two are H1s. So let me take this first out now. These two are H1. And then I styled it H1, and I tell all H1 to have a color of blue and have a font size of 50 px. That's why you see these two, since they are H1, they have a color of blue and 50 px. But then I want to style this H1 uniquely. I want this H1 to have its style uniquely. That's why I introduced first here and gave it an ID of first. And then I told you, when CSS want to pick a style based on the ID, it uses the hashtag. So if you use hashtag first, CSS will know that, okay, you are referring to this ID of first inside of the element. And then that's why I changed the color here to green of first. Now it will show. So I can change the color to white. Now it will show, right? Because I changed the color here white, and then I'm signifying that this is the ID hashtag. It is going to change this color for me automatic to white. And then this full stop, I told you, is if you want to style an element together in group. So maybe this H2 and this H3 are not same elements, but I want to give them the same style. So I will give them the same class of group. And then I can change the style here, and then maybe I can change this here to yellow. So now watch out, this H2 and this H3 both took styles of yellow and changed font styles to 40, though they are different elements. And then an element can only have, and there can only be one ID attached to an element, but there can be plenty groups. That is, this class can be assigned to different elements, but for the fact that I gave this H1 ID of first, I cannot give any element an ID of first again. It's not going to work. But if I want to style multiple elements with the same styling, I just put them in the same group, and then I give them a style of class. So that's why I gave it class, this attribute of class, and then I gave it group. So if I go to this H5 and I still tell this H5, I give this H5 a class. Now this H5, look at it here. Let me show you. This H5, I think this is it, right? So if I give it a class of group, now watch out. It's going to take the same style as this yellow. So if I go down here, can you see? It take up the style as yellow. Right? So that's just how all of them work. And as simple selectors, that's how they work. Right? So, any other question? All right, Olorufemi, let's hear from you.
All right, so my question is on the button box. Instead of having a box, how can we make it spherical? Like this, spherical in shape, or we can have different shapes. I think I've seen a website that has a star shape for the submit button. How can we make that work?
Yeah. So I think you can just work with that's what it's called border radius. I think we haven't gotten to that, but if you just scroll up here, I think we can see it. So wait. Yep. So border radius. So with this border radius, I can choose to change the style of how it looks like. So I can just come here and then in the button, where's the button? Form button, right? And then I'll just say border radius. And then maybe let's say 20 px. Can you see? So it changes the radius to rounded, right? And then it doesn't necessarily have to be like the whole thing. I can also change it this way. So can you see this side is like this other one. I can choose to add more. And then maybe let's say each side, this is 5px, this is 2px. So can you see all of them are taking different border sizes. So depending on how you want to style it is the way that you use the border radius to make all those declarations. But if you want everything to be uniform, I can just say 25px. Then it should be round. Right? Good. And then I can also use border radius on this image. I can make this image round. So all I just have to use now is go here, and then instead of using px for the logo, I'll just go to the logo and say border radius. And then I'll use percentage 50%. So if I make it 50%, it's going to be round. Can you see? The logo is now round, right? So thank you very much for that question. It helped us to add one more CSS property. But you guys said I'm moving too fast, and I don't want to move too fast to add more CSS properties. So let's take questions. And then we'll proceed. So as a case, as what's the difference between padding and margin? Nice. So let's go back here. Let's go back to the box model. That explains it more better. So in the box model, so this term box model is used when talking about design and layout. So the CSS box model is essentially a box that wraps around every HTML element. It consists of content, padding, borders, and margins. Good. So if they say, so this is the content, right? So if they say padding, padding is the space inside of the contents. That's why when I gave this form a padding, it takes the size here inside. So padding is inside, margin is outside. So if I give a padding of 20px, it's going to give a space inside. If I give it a margin of 20px, it's going to give the 20px space outside, right? So that's how it works. So go down and read more about and the box model, because it's going to help you work properly with floats to assign, okay, this is where I want this to be, this is where I want that to be, right? So who again? What's the question? Okay, so Goodness is asking, what's the importance of the universal selector? You use the universal selector if you want to give, maybe you have a style that you want the whole element in the page to take. That's when you use the universal selector to give that style. And then box sizing. So I think I just explained box sizing properly for you now. Yeah, Jetro, shoot.
So I'm very sorry. I need to still go back to my initial question because I just checked the meaning of cascading, and it says taking the styling from top to bottom. And that time I made mention of why the inline styling overrides the external, because from the file in your VS Code, the external link was first before the inline styling. And still the inline styling is overriding the external, and cascading is from top to bottom. So why? I just want to know. I'm curious, sir. Thank you.
Okay, great. So it's reading from top to bottom, right? And then remember, at first it saw the style at the top, and then he read the style, and then he put the whole effect to that style. And then when he keeps reading, so let me just open this file and explain. Good. So we link our CSS file here, right? And then when it first comes, it reads this CSS, and then it takes the effect of this style to each and every one of them. And then it continues reading and goes down, 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 down. And then it makes an inline styling here. Maybe let's say style, color, orange. So it has made this one here, and it has affected this style. Now, what do you think will happen when it gets here and it has seen a newer style? And this is the new thing that the browser is reading. This is currently what the browser is reading. What style is the browser going to take? it's totally going to neglect this one, the styling that he met at first, and then takes the styling that he gets currently and work with it, right? So that's why this will always override this, because it sees this last. Are we together?
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Questions. I don't want to move too fast. Hello, guys. Questions? So I stop moving fast, right? No questions, I move fast. Questions, I don't move fast. All right, who's asking? Ufai, let's hear.
Yeah, actually, yesterday, I tried to learn about uploading a video with my HTML and everything. So I got the one from like how to upload online, but I didn't actually get. I'm finding it difficult to actually upload from my local storage. So can you help me with that?
I really don't get your question. So you are trying to add an image from your local file, right?
Not an image, a video.
A video, and it's not working.
Yeah, but I tried it. Like I tried adding it online. That one it worked, but for my local storage, I think I'm not getting it very right.
Yeah, so probably you have to bring the parts. You have to bring the image, right? So probably maybe you bring the image here to your VS Code. So when you bring the image or the video here, then you are going to copy the relative part, and then in the source you paste the relative part, and then you have that working. Did you try that?
No, I think I'm going to try that after the class.
Yeah. So that's best. So I think you should try that, and then at the end of the class we know what's up. So do well. Those of you that have not followed me on Twitter or send me a message, do well to follow me on Twitter so that we can always be communicating over on Twitter. If there's anything, and then do well to also post your updates. Anything you learned in class, do well to post it, because the idea of you following me and me following you is to track your progress. So I see, okay, this is what Fatima learned today. This is what Aisha learned today. This is what Abdul learned today, etc. So I just keep track and know that, okay, you guys are learning. And then when you do any new design, I don't have to come to class and then ask you for it. You can just design your own website, and then no matter how ugly it looks, right? Everybody understands it's your first. So when you just do the design, you can do well to maybe take a screenshot from your laptop, post it on your Twitter, take a screenshot of your code, also post it, tell us what you are building, and let us know that this was happening, right? So from Twitter, we can tend to know your update and know how fast you are moving, right? It's going to help us very well. And then if there are going to be anything we feel we can do better to help you or to help you move forward, from Twitter, we are going to know that, okay, this guy is lacking on this space, this guy is lacking here, and easily we can help you. Trust me, the tech community is the most supportive community you will ever meet. It's the community whereby you ask questions and people answer you. So don't limit your learning only to Fitech community, right? You can extend your learning over on Twitter. Once you post, you make friends from different parts of the world, right? And then you guys start building together, understanding more stuff together. So the tech space is not a space whereby you just limit it to where you are. You make it broad, make it open. you are open to making much friends as possible. So do well to do that, right? I want to see you guys having plenty friends on Twitter. Some of you have just maybe like 10, 20 followers, but if you follow the Twitter community, you start posting all your stuffs and your progress. Before you know, when people see that, okay, maybe I'm Mano from Jos, and then I see somebody from maybe Lagos posting the same learning that I'm learning together with him. Well, why not? I follow you, right? And then I see you implement something I've not done before. I will follow you. I will message you. I'll ask you, how did you do this? And then you let me know. And probably I don't have to follow you up. Maybe from your code, I can just read through your code and then see your current updates, right? So the community is a very supportive one, and I will advise that you take massive use of this. It's going to make you go far in the space, as far as possible, right? So I'm still taking questions. I'm still taking questions. I don't want to style this. I think this is enough for us so that we don't tend to do
Hello, good morning.
yeah, good morning, sir. Let me see who's that
So
talking.
when I was going to, this is Godfrey.
Okay, Godfrey, what's up?
Yeah, fine, boss. When I tried to go through my code, I think everything was working fine. But where the error is, I tried more like code, but my image was still broken.
Okay, your image is breaking.
Yeah, the moment like you and the first start, the image is broken. So I tried like code, but still it doesn't show up.
Is it an online image or you got it directly from your device?
My online image from on Splash.
Oh, from Unsplash. And then it's not displaying. Are you on your laptop?
Yeah, I'm on my laptop.
Okay. So let me just stop sharing my screen and then you show me.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can share your screen and then show me what's the problem.
Okay, I'll do that right soon.
Awesome. So anybody with another question based on the assignment, right? If you weren't able to fix anything or do any stuff, just let me know, right? So that we can use this time to fix it. I don't want to move too fast so that there are other guys that are also learning so that they follow us up. And then you guys, with all the things that we have bombarded today, make sure you understand all these concepts and then apply them to your assignment. So your assignment this time around will be as easy as possible. So in your assignment, you were given an HTML page to design, right? Maybe a recipe page to use different elements, etc., right? Concur, please, if that's the assignment. Let me see your emojis. Awesome. So that's the assignment. So now what I want you guys to do is, with the styling we've learned, you should style your recipe page to look better, right? So style your recipe page. Let's see your different style. Let's see your different design. It should be as pretty as possible. I assure you, I will check this one before coming to the next class. So I will know the guys that are doing well. I will know the guys that are not doing well, right? So I'll know. So make sure you style it, submit as fast as possible so that I get to see, and then we'll discuss about it in the next class. But for now, if you have any problem with the last class or with, you said what?
Down for their bulk, whatever their bulk printing.
Okay, so this is my Twitter username. Let me just you just go at Manoa Luka. Yep. So do well to check me out. Send me messages. I'm always willing and ready to answer you. And I'm also looking forward to seeing your progress. I want to see what you guys are doing so that I know that yes, these guys are learning, right? Because it's the joy of every mentor to see his students learning. Because it would be a complete waste of time if I spend 3 hours of my day and then I don't see any updates from you guys. I won't have any joy. It simply means you guys are not learning. Okay, goodness. Let's hear from you. Okay, so I think goodness made a mistake. The girls in the class are shy of talking. I don't know why. Are the guys intimidating you?
No, sir. Good morning.
All right, how you doing, goodness?
I'm fine. Okay, yesterday while trying to submit the assignment, when I copied the URL from the code pen and pasted it on the Discord channel, I noticed that some persons, after they posted their URL, it was showing like a design to their assignment. It's not just the URL alone. So is this?
Oh,
But mine was just showing the code. I want to know, is it that I'm missing something, or it's not a big deal though?
I really don't know, because I myself, is because of this class that I make use of code pen. So anybody that is there anyone here that his own showed an image? Maybe you can just help out to answer that.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
So I said I personally, is because of this class that I'm making use of code pen. So I don't know how that works. But there are some of your colleagues here that probably they are showed images, right? So let them try to answer. So I think Jetro wants to answer. So let him just explain how he's on showed an image.
I think mine too just showed the link. I think it's based on the operating system you are using. So if you are using Windows, most times the image will not show after the link. Or if you are using Linux, Mac, and the rest, once you post, the image comes below. So I just noticed that with mine too. And I'm using Windows as well, so mine did not show.
Hello, good morning. I used it should. Maybe it's because of connection issues or something like that. Because when you send it, it must load for a few seconds, I think.
You're muted, sir.
Oh, yeah. So these are possible cases that might come up with that, right? So what next? So I will advise you guys not just to work with CodePen, right? The earlier the better. You guys should move to VS Code. Like bunch of your submissions, I want to see them on VS Code, because that's where you do the real work, and then you guys are developers automatically from your first class. I've initiated you guys as developers, right? So I want to see your code on VS Code. I don't just want to see it on CodePen only. If you do it on CodePen, it's still fine, right? I understand that probably you have not have a full grasp of the VS Code thing, right? But for now, I want it on VS Code. If you can't do it on VS Code, fine. But if you know you can do it on VS Code, please, your assignments should be done on VS Code. Yeah, shoot, goodness.
Okay, sir, when you say VS Code, in terms of submission, do we need to finish the assignments and then push to our repo, like GitHub, and then send you our GitHub repo link, or what? I don't
Okay. That's true. That's true. So for now, the assignments you work with CodePen. So in the next class, we should be introducing Git and GitHub. Right? Nice. So we introduce Git and GitHub so that you can push your code and just send us the link, right? So Rufai, let me hear.
Yeah, I think actually, since I started, I used to do most of my code on VS Code. So from there, I just copy it to the code submission. But most of the time, I used to.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. That's valid, right? So you can just do your stuffs on VS Code, because that's where the real thing is. If you do it on VS Code and it works on VS Code, at the end of the day, just pack it where you want to submit. Go to CodePen, then submit it with the CodePen link, right? But I strongly advise VS Code for now. I want you guys to get really used to it. So we don't have any issues or any problem pertaining on the assignments and then today's class. So everybody is understood what's happening, right? David, you haven't said anything, David. Okay, David is good to go. How about Ruben? Don't have any problem. Nice. Ahmad, what's up? Okay, Ahmad is good to go. Khadija, I'm just seeing this name now. Khadija, are you good to go? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of new people. Prince Will. Nice. Nice. All right, so let's do well since we don't have any much more questions, and then I don't want to move too fast so that we all are going to have a grasp of everything. So make sure you revise everything we did in class today, and do well to watch the recordings if you want to. And then I always strongly advise that you guys meet up with each other. So you should have like a study group. I will do like a background check. I'll be checking you guys without you knowing, right? So have a study group, 2 or 3 friends from this call, and you make sure that you talk about HTML and CSS every day, right? So somebody might know something, another person might not know it. Somebody might try out a new element and another person might not. Someone might run into a problem and another person have not run into that problem. But your collaboration and your discussions with one another is going to make you guys move at a faster pace, right? So I strongly encourage that everyone has a friend in this call. In the next class, I will ask each of you your friends, and then I will try to validate that you guys are friends, right? Ask you guys independent questions and see if you truly studied together, because that is very, very important. And then feel free to move at your own pace. You don't have to move at the pace of this class. I repeat, you don't have to move at the pace of this class. You can do wonders, you can do magic. If you feel you can do it by now, please do that. And then reach out to me, show me your stuff, show me what you are doing, post it on Twitter. It's going to let me know that yes, you are moving fast and you are moving well, right? So Rufai, let's hear from you, and then we'll close the class early today, maybe like 10 minutes to the end of the class.
Yeah, I think we actually opened a WhatsApp group for ourselves. So for people that are interested in joining, we actually sent the link to this thing, the announcement link on Discord channel, I think. So anyone willing to join.
Okay. Okay, so don't limit your discussion only to WhatsApp only. WhatsApp makes sense, right? Because that's where you can get people fast as possible. But your discussions can also be going down in the Discord channel. That's why the Discord channel was created. It's for you guys. Make your discussions there. Post anything you want to post about your current updates, right? So that everybody's going to know what you are working on from the Discord. And that's how you make more friends, right? So that's just the little thing we have for today. If there's no more question, I think we are going to call it a day, right? So any more questions? Who is raising up their hand? Oh, you don't have the link to the Discord channel. So somebody, I think the admin is currently on the call. So the admin should send you the link to the Discord channel currently, so that Prince Will, you can be able to join the Discord. So I would advise your discussion should be going down there. Nice. So anything at all you need, do well to post so that I will know your current progress, right? So I'm looking forward to see what you guys are doing. I dropped my link. You guys are not following, so that I will follow you back. I think you guys don't want me to see your progress, right? That's what I suspect.
I followed you, sir. I have not followed you back.
Ah, what's your name? Okay, Sonia.
Lauren Femi.
What's your name?
Lauren Femi.
Femi. I think I followed Femi. We've been chatting now.
No.
Okay, no, this is Rufai. This is Rufai. Femi. Can you just give me your Twitter? Just post it on the chat, right?
Okay.
So I'll follow up now.
I don't know.
So if you're not on Twitter, do well to have a Twitter account. You need it in your tech journey. Do well to have a Twitter account. Don't shy away from it. So in the absence of none, Femi, I'm still waiting for your Twitter before we call it a day, and then everybody is going to get to work. So your assignment, do not forget, style the HTML page that was given to you the previous time. So make sure you style it And then make sure your submission comes in on time so that I can have a look before I get into class, right? Okay, so Goody just followed. So who's Goody? Okay, I think it's Goodness. Nice. Awesome. Okay, Olorunfemi. Olorunfemi. TD. Okay, yeah, you followed me. I didn't see that, so I just followed you back. Nice. Okay, so I can see David here. Okay, I just followed you back. Nice. Nice. So do well to always post. So after this class, I'm expected to see your updates, and then we'll call it a day, right? So you still have the remaining 8 minutes to maybe if you want to have any discussions with each other. But for now, for me, I'll leave you on the call. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for attending my TED Talk. Make sure you study, make sure you read, make sure you make friends, make sure you build. That is your pathway to success in the tech space. So see you guys in the next class. But until then, have a great day.
Thank you, sir.